Hello everyone, Francesca again. I wanted to delve deeper into the 9-step process that Tom MacDonald explains in his song Brainwashed. And you don't have to know all these facts to understand the structure, but from my perspective, he is explaining the process of brainwashing in a 9-step process. So as we go through each step, I will kind of delve into a little bit of where it comes from. And yeah, we're just going to walk through every single step, and I'm going to go through origins because that's what I do, and I think it's interesting because it makes you realize how long people have been vulnerable to such conditioning. Step 1, train the people only to consume. Okay, so this goes back to the idea that you're making someone who is not a producer but a consumer. Okay, this is just a very basic psychological framework that it's like, well, we don't want people to produce things because then they're independent and then they can create wealth and they're not reliant on us. They're not dependent on us. One source that I found said, in its early years, consumer behavior was heavily influenced by motivational research, which had increased the understanding of consumers and had been used extensively by consultants in the advertising industry and also within the discipline of psychology in the 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s. Okay, so that's basically where it comes from. Consumerism is a newer concept. Okay, so let's move on into step 2. Step 2 is infiltrate the adults with the news. But that's also going to go with step 3 that says indoctrinate the children through the schools. Doctrinization goes back as far as religion. So basically, this is where we get into controlling what people think and repeating it to them as much as possible. So those are two huge institutions, education and media. And that's where most people get quite a bit of their information from. So you really have to consider who's controlling those sources and kind of what their motivations are to understand the current structure. When you go to university now, a lot of universities, a lot of professors won't even hesitate to define education as indoctrination, which means that they're not teaching you how to think, they're teaching you what to think, which again goes back to being brainwashed. You're not learning how and whys, you're learning what's and whens. And sure, those are important, but you really need the hows and the whys. And that is what our universities do to our youth. This just goes back to putting ideas into people's heads so that they're not really necessarily thinking for themselves, but they're thinking what people want them to think. If you go to step 4, step 5, and step 6, that is all divide and conquer. And you could say it's Marx, you could say it's lots of things, you could say it's rules for radicals, but really the origin of divide and conquer is divide and rule, which comes from the Roman, and I'm not going to try to say it because I will butcher it. But basically, divide and rule, that's BC. That's at least 100 years BC. That's been around for millennia. It's basically the idea of getting us to fight each other, because if we fight each other, then the nobles don't have to do it. So it says step 6, separate the rich from the poor. I kind of have to accentuate that is definitely more Marx. And when you say use religion and equality to separate them more, then you're getting into like Marcuse, which he took Marx and he made it more about race and things like that, so that it wasn't against the rich and the poor, but it was against like white versus black. That's where that comes from. When it comes to step 8, put it on the news every night, more repetition. So another quote about that, and this goes back to repetition just being, people don't understand how powerful it is. It's extremely powerful. It says, repetition exerts a powerful cognitive effect, whether one hears information repeated auditorily or sees it over and over again visually. We've all heard the catchphrase that practice makes perfect. In this case, repetition makes fact. End quote. They've known this in psychology. I don't know how long they've known it in psychology. I'd actually have to look it up. I'll look it up real quick. I'll tell you right now. So, behavioral, because this is where this is going to come from. Well, actually, let's do cognitive. They know how we behave via behavioral psychology, and then they know how to kind of manipulate how we think via cognitive psychology. It says the origin of cognitive psychology occurred in the 1960s and a break from behaviorism. See, connected. So there's that. But he's also going to go into Ordo ab Chao, I believe how it's pronounced, or it is order from chaos, which is very hard to find an origin of. I'm not going to lie to you. I had to do lots of digging to find out where this came from. It is a certain group's motto. I'm not going to say who because I don't want to get, thrown off YouTube just yet. But it is a certain group's motto. You can find it out pretty easily. The idea is that order through chaos is you create a situation, or there is a situation that is chaotic, and you take advantage of it and pull strings or make solutions wherever you can to get ahead in that situation. But basically, his 9-step process that Tom MacDonald goes over in his song is indeed, how shall I say, it's not anything. Prove me wrong. If you find a source for where it came from, please put it in the comment section. I would like to know. But from what I can tell, he's just basically observing what's happened and he's putting it in a list, and he's doing it so with rhyme, which makes it very, very ingenious. And mad props to him because he knows how to word things, that's for sure. So if you like this video, please thumbs up it, and the next time he does a video, I'll be doing a response on it. He just hasn't done a new one yet, so this is what I did to fill in the gap. Thank you for watching my video. Have a great day. Subscribe and like below, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.